So that was Raw. Now to Nitro, number 141, also May 25th, 1998.
This show is a lot better, but they clearly have just too much time on their hands.
Yes.
There was
from the get-go here. Yes.
9 million Thunder recaps. They're trying to explain what's going on. I'm trying to keep up. I don't know what the fuck's going on with Bret Hart, Randy Savage, and Roddy Piper. I don't know what's going on. I can't figure it out.
Well, speaking of too much time on their hands, let's recap how this show began. I guess we're going to recap the whole show, but we'll start with the beginning. 4 minutes devoted to recapping Giant beating Sting up at the end of Nitro last week. Then we showed the Giant doing a promo on Thunder where he insisted he and Sting were still friends and still the NWO Tag Team Champions. Lex Luger came out to say, "Liar, liar, pants on fire," challenged him to a match. Giant invited him to join the NWO. Lex spat in his face and bailed. This left the Giant to kill a dozen luchadors who were just in the ring for whatever reason. Then we go to the main event of Thunder. And in the main event, fake Sting makes his return.
I could not even believe it. They're losing the war, and so they're just rewinding 2 years.
Yes. What did we do this time last year?
Fucking fake Sting is back? Are you kidding me?
So fake Sting attacks Lex with a DQ. The announcers, like morons, are fooled again. They showed all of this. Then they went to commercial. We are 8 minutes into the show, and literally nothing has happened. After the commercial, Raven and his Riot Squad come out for a promo. Raven says, "Mortis, you have been sneak attacking me every week, but I can still be your guide. Saturn, you have been my best friend since childhood. I want you back by my side. I will fire the flock if it makes you happy." Turns to Lodi, "You're fired. Kidman, you're fired. Horace, you're fired." He DDTs Lodi. Kidman and Horace just stand there. And Raven calls for Saturn. Did either of you have one clue what was going on here?
No, I have no idea what's going on half the time.
When did Saturn leave, Raven?
I presume it was a pay-per-view or Thunder, and they didn't bother to show a replay.
Why
They had that match a couple weeks ago where the loser had to leave the flock.
Yeah, but they brought him back a week after.
Right.
Yeah, they brought him back.
Yeah.
So when do you leave?
Why does Saturn want the flock fired?
I don't think Saturn wants the
That's a
flock
great
fired.
question.
Raven fired the flock just to get Saturn. That's how he wanted to show him how willing he was to get him back. He'd fire everybody else if he would just return to him.
Glacier did a backstage interview about the fanfare and hype of his
I got
debut.
more to say about Raven. This is a very, very important key, which Vinny's going to learn about now that he's watching SmackDown every week. Raven was so much better than Bray Wyatt on the mic. I'm going to tell you why. Because
I've been saying that for the whole year.
But I'm going to tell you why.
Bray's on Raw, by the way.
Is he?
Yeah.
Who cares?
You're on a roll.
So anyway. So Raven cuts Bray Wyatt promos. When he's in the back, he'll sit there and he's brooding and he'll do the bullshit promos where you have no idea what he's talking about, but he's got good delivery. The difference is, and Vinny's not watching Raw, so this goes right over his head, but when Bray Wyatt came out at the beginning of the show on Monday, Bray Wyatt had to talk about how he wanted to beat Brock Lesnar to become the champion. It was the same bullshit. I don't even think he ever said Brock Lesnar's name. It was The Beast and all of his usual goofy rigmarole. When Raven came out here for a very serious promo about his friend Saturn and firing these other shitheads around him, he didn't do the Bray Wyatt promo. He cut a very serious promo like a normal human being that was pissed off. That's why it was effective. That's the problem with Bray Wyatt. He's never real. He's always a character.
Speaks in riddles, and you have to decipher the riddles as he keeps talking. And
Yeah, do you ever really get mad, Bray? Like, do you ever really get mad? Like, when I get mad, I don't fucking talk in riddles. Either did Raven here. His friend left him. It made him very angry, and he came out of his goofy gimmick.
We had the Nitro Girls dancing. We had more clips from Thunder.
19 minutes and change before the first match actually got
Lower down, 1933. Plus commercials. But we're not there yet, Craig. You're jumping ahead.
Oh, I apologize. Yeah.
Chris Benoit trying to steal Booker T's interview time from Thunder.
Did you finish your talk about Glacier's promo?
No.
Did I? Should I go back? Do we need more detail?
No.
He invented a kick and he's mad other people are kicking guys.
No, this is the best part. So he claims he created the super kick, okay?
Yeah.
Which we've all determined this is ridiculous, okay? Now Glacier has added, I created the super kick, and since I created it, I can also destroy it.
Yes.
Which I've seen him throw it, and that is true.
He's claiming that he is going to destroy the super kick and remove it from professional wrestling. It's fucking
Man.
so stupid.
Thank God that didn't work out, because what would the Young Bucks do?
Well, I mean, it's clear he's losing this feud. That's what I got out of this.
The Young Bucks owe a debt to Perry Saturn. That's right. I hadn't thought of that.
They do. They should put his face all over their tights.
To buy him a house.
So Benoit attacked Booker T, lead him out. Stevie Ray came out in a fly vest. That was awesome. Yelled at Booker for letting a punk like Benoit take him out like this. He wouldn't last a minute in Harlem, he said. You need to stomp a mud hole in this guy. Booker agreed. And they announced that Benoit and Booker will be doing a best-of-7 series. Fit Finlay versus Mike Enos, 19 minutes and 33 seconds into the show. The announcers are talking about, the great thing about a best-of-7 series, it's the best way to determine a winner. Now we'll really know who's the top guy. Well, if that's the case, why don't you do best-of-7 series for all title matches? Or all matches, for that matter. Crowd was absurdly into Mike Enos' offense. Or they were excited about the beach ball going around. I'm not sure.
Thinking it was a beach ball.
So let's see. Enos is running wild. He goes for some kind of power slam, and I don't know what happened.
No idea.
I think he hurt his leg on the lift and was trying to protect it, but what happened was he fell to his back with Finlay on top of his leg. That's bad.
He power slammed him onto his own leg.
Yes.
Don't do that.
It
No.
looked like he was going for one of Roddy's really cool backbreakers, but it looked really horrible.
It looked painful.
Yeah.
So Finlay said, his leg's hurt. I'll kick him in the leg a few times and tombstone him and pin him. And
Good
he did.
idea.
And it worked out. Before the injury, it was a very fun Mean Guy match. Mean Gene was plugging his hotline when he was interrupted by a fan's air horn, and I laughed my ass off. Glacier versus Saturn. Raven came out to watch.
They build this match up for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. It ain't even a top of the hour main event.
No.
It's just on the show.
There's a move on the line here, fellas.
The history of the super kick is at stake. So Raven comes out to watch, and then the guys in the ring had a fun match while they could.
Can I talk about the end of this match? How just fucked up this company is?
Can I stop you?
No. So Raven comes out, and he grabs Hammer's ankle as Hammer jumps up on the apron. Saturn super kicks Hammer. Raven's holding onto his legs, and they all fall in a fucking heap.
That happened, yeah.
Nobody knew what they were supposed to be doing here. Raven had one idea, Hammer had another idea, and Saturn had a third idea.
Glacier.
Hammer
but-
was trying to sell.
Hammer was there somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah, Hammer was
Glacier
trying.
kicked him.
Hammer was trying to sell the super kick, but Raven had a hold of him.
Yeah.
So his only alternative was to take a flat back bump.
Yeah.
off
Onto
the
Raven.
apron.
He didn't want to do this because he's not an idiot.
He lands on Raven there in a heap, and Raven's just looking at him. And I'm like, well, you're part of this problem, dude. Why were you holding his ankles? You were going to yank him off the apron? Well, why did Saturn super kick the guy then? Or Glacier, whoever the fuck super kicked
He
him?
couldn't have taken the bump to the outside of the apron.
This was dumb.
Yes.
And then Saturn nearly killed.
Saturn had the most terrifying DVD I ever saw.
He was worked into a shoot about this whole super kick thing. He tried to kill
I'm going to
Glacier.
save this match in one move.
I'm not losing this
If
move.
Glacier walks again, that's not my concern.
We can't have the business lose the super kick. I'm going to drop this guy in his noggin.
Yeah, didn't even win with the super kick.
No, he DVD'd him onto his brain.
Yes.
Killed him. This was a mess.
Giant came out for a promo, flanked by Brian Adams and Vincent.
So Hogan was not at the show. He was doing a movie. And they decided if Hogan's not there, we won't have Eric there. And so this was the NWO Black and White.
All three guys?
Giant, Vincent, and Brian Adams.
Wow.
Well, one out of three.
Giant, Vincent, and Brian Adams.
Yeah. So Giant calls out Kevin Nash.
I was so happy to not see Bischoff, but then I saw these three. I was like, wow,
That's the worst summer tour ever.
that's hideous.
Brian Adams, Vincent, and the Giant.
So Nash comes out. He's going to take care of Hogan's fluff boys, he calls them.
His three fluff boys.
Yes.
Yeah. That's rude.
Now, this is stupid on Nash's part because
Well, Larry said it was stupid. Shivani said it was brave. Larry was right.
he attacked 3 men, one of whom was much larger than him, and got his ass kicked. So, who should make the save but Conan and Lex Luger? People are going nuts. Hennig and Randy Savage are out there next. Nobody knows what Lex is doing out there, but the crowd's happy to see him. So the Wolfpack has a huddle, and they take the shirt off Conan, and they offer it to Lex. Lex ponders things for a minute, and then he puts the shirt on, and now Lex Luger's in the Wolfpack. Place is
goes
going nuts.
Crazy for this.
There were people jumping up and down.
Like, I know this isn't news, but in fact, it's been going on for weeks as we've reviewed it, but at this point in time in WCW, the heels were the NWO, the babyfaces were the Wolfpack, and the geeks were WCW.
Yeah, that was like the announcers. I felt so bad for them because they were stuck having to support WCW, and technically, the Wolfpack is a babyface faction.
Absolutely.
So they have to pretend like they don't want Luger to join the NWO, like they're shocked.
Yeah.
But the fans all want it, and so the announcers are just left looking like geeks. They're geeks that are behind the geek brand right now. WCW is third in line between the NWO and behind the NWO and the Wolfpack.
Yeah, that was my question. Why were the announcers so worried about this? Because the Wolfpack...
Because it's the NWO.
Yes, but the Wolfpack is opposed to the NWO.
Doesn't matter.
So what's the old saying? The enemy of my friend is my enemy?
It
Is
doesn't
my
work
friend?
like that.
You're really
I
doing that
really
wrong.
screwed that up.
They're still the NWO.
Right.
Like they're the enemy that doesn't like another enemy faction, but they're still the enemy.
But they're fighting the same enemy.
They're still the NWO.
They're still determined to drive WCW out of
Yeah.
business.
But they're the cool NWO.
That's true.
It doesn't matter. They're the rivals. You think they're cool, but they're trying to destroy WCW.
I don't think they're cool.
I do. They're way cooler than fucking the Giant, Brian Adams, and Vincent. Those guys aren't cool, Craig.
You're right. You are right.
Chris Jericho versus El Dandy. Much like the Cruiserweights on Raw, they had about 1 minute and crammed all they could into this 1 minute. Jericho won with a Boston Crab. Then cut a promo saying he was the victim of a conspiracy that had cost him the Cruiserweight belt. He demanded J.J. Dillon come out and hear what he had to say. And Jericho showed him a list. The first list of Jericho. I guess the second. Because the first one was a list of moves. The third one is the list. And the second is this list of the participants in the Cruiserweights Battle Royal. Points out Dean Malenko's name is not on this list. Therefore, he was not a valid participant in the Battle Royal. Therefore, the title win Malenko had over Jericho should be nullified, and the title should be returned to Jericho. Dillon didn't buy this. He said, "You agree to face the winner of a Battle Royal, whoever that might be, and the decision stands." He leaves, and Jericho throws a tantrum, calls Dillon an idiot, and then slightly regains his composure, chases Mr. Dillon down, begging him to return the belt. Please. They announced Nitro will be at the Georgia Dome on July 6th.
That's a
A
big one.
memorable show.
That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
God, that's coming up soon.
Conan versus La Parka. The most exciting thing in this match was Parka's mask falling apart, and at the very end he had to hold it onto his head while he was running the ropes. Conan won with a cradle DDT and the Tequila Sunrise. He showed a video from Mortis, who had taken his mask off. He explained that on February 12th, Raven had DDT'd him onto a ramp or a stage or something, and that was the night Mortis died.
What's up, Craig?
Another.
And he returned and laid Raven out, and that was the night Canyon was born.
They couldn't even have done hair versus mask with this guy. He just had to take his mask off. This company could
hurts.
do anything right.
Yeah, DDT and his head hurt. He said he'd gotten a Raven several times. He was going to get him again, anytime, anywhere, as anyone. More from Thunder.
God, Thunder.
Randy Savage was in the ring. And if you've never seen the television show WCW Thursday Thunder, let me share with you the kind of wisdom you can hear on this show. I wrote this down word for word. Here was Randy Savage's promo. "You call yourself an icon. I don't even know what that word means. Is that a bird?
It's a pecan.
Like the dodo bird? An X?" And then he stops. An X. Because he's thinking of the word extinct, but he can't remember the second syllable. And so he says, "A species that doesn't exist anymore?" Well, I don't know what an icon is, but I know what the madness is. And if you've got the guts to be my tag team partner, then we can get it done, and whatever's whatever after that. Oh, yeah.
That was horrible.
It was awful.
Randy Savage, but
That was
a good recap.
That was a D+.
Now let me talk about this Piper promo here, and I'm not going to do a Randy Savage. You didn't like this? I'm going to tell you the good and the bad
Do a Piper voice.
and the ugly. So Roddy Piper comes out. It's his usual nonsense.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
He makes fun of Savage's hair, which is usually a no-no, but he's Roddy Piper. He does whatever he wants. So Savage hits the ring, and they go face-to-face. Now let me tell you something. Up until this point, this was not a very good show. But when Randy Savage came out, that's when this show totally turned around. They go face-to-face, and Savage, I gotta praise this Randy Savage fella, okay? Now, I don't know what the fuck he was talking about. I have no idea what he was talking about. But Randy Savage is a guy, kind of like Bret Hart, ironically, where Savage convinces himself that this shit's real. And Savage cut like the greatest promo on Roddy Piper. He was so good that the bullshit Roddy Piper nonsensical promo turned into Roddy cutting a great promo. They cut the best promo on each other. I don't know what they were talking about, but it was the best promo on each other. Their delivery was awesome. And then Bret came out, and then I was even more confused because Bret is trying to twist all of
a
this
great promo
around.
when you're confused.
Bret's trying to twist all of this around and blame something on Roddy Piper. I don't know what, but I do know that Bret believed it, and Roddy believed it, and Randy believed it. And so the whole segment was believable, even though I don't know what the hell they were talking about.
Brett came out and he was
What's happening?
He was accusing Piper of being in on the plan. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
What plan?
The one where he
That's
at the pay-per-view when
Brett got his win.
Yes.
Brett is saying, Roddy, you and I conspired to screw Savage. And Savage, both on and off camera, is a paranoid motherfucker, so he'll believe any of this shit.
Sure. My problem is, as a viewer watching the show,
Yeah.
all I saw last week was 3 photographs from the match as
Yeah.
they tried to explain what the fuck happened. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Well, he reversed the decision last week, but Brett was still the winner there at the pay-per-view, and that's what Brett won.
I see.
I guess.
They could have done a better job recapping this.
You
They
like
could've.
this a lot more than I did.
It's a week later, they could have shown video.
That's true.
Hey, listen, if a promo is all about whether you understand it, then it sucked. If a promo is about the delivery, like everybody raves about Bray Wyatt promos, then it was great. How's that?
I did get a message at the end, which is they're still doing the tag match at the pay-per-view.
Right.
But after the tag match, whatever happens, Piper and Savage, who are teammates in the tag match, will then fight each other.
Maybe. Piper said, let's team. And when it's over, if you still want to fight,
I see.
then we'll fight.
I see.
He's trying to convince Savage that we'll do this tag match together, you'll see I'm on your side, and we'll be buddies. I got that part.
All right. Kidman versus Juventud Guerrera.
I hope someday in the future people don't watch Nitro and then go, hey, let's listen to the Brian and Vinny and Craig show so they can explain all of this to us.
No.
No, we got no idea what's
We
going
don't have no idea what's going on.
Well, I do know one thing.
It's a fucking mystery.
I know one thing. This match was awesome.
This match was
Very good.
excellent.
This
Let
ruled.
me get my one criticism out of the way first. I only have one.
Okay.
It didn't need to go this long.
That's fair.
It went a little long, and it went long enough that they did 2 covers where the ref actually counted 3, but the guy lifted his shoulder up. And normally the fans would boo, but they were like so into this match that they accepted it, but it did kind of kill the crowd. And then they got him back a little bit at the end.
I have a nitpick. Kidman was doing this move this time, and it's not the first time this has happened, where he tries a power bomb, but the other guy flips it into a facebuster. The same counter Kidman would use 8,000 times in his career, but somehow this hurts the guy doing the facebuster. And I was confused. The crowd was confused. It briefly killed them, but they got them back into it because everything else about it was awesome. Both guys were on their game. Everything looked great, start to finish. Eventually, Hoovy caught him with a drop kick, hit the Hoovy driver and 450 splash for the win. Pretty sure this would have been the best match at Backlash.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of great technical matches by Chris Benoit beating the crap out of people, but I think this was the best match on Nitro of 98 so far.
It was really great.
On Nitro? What's been better?
Maybe Goldberg killing dudes.
Yeah, but that's not really a match. It's just fun.
That's just violence.
As far as like a fun, great wrestling match, this was the best one like all year, I think.
It is way up there.
Went 9.5 minutes, and I have to agree it was a little too long, but it was a very good match.
Yep. Nitro Party clips. It was all girls. And I mean, not women, girls.
Right.
Like 10 and 12-year-olds saying Too Sweet and dancing. I don't know if they do this anymore.
I'm skeptical they did it then.
Maybe this may have been the only occasion.
Their fathers put him up to it to get the Nitro Girls at his house.
Spoken like a father.
Well,
They said Rick Steiner would be out several months after shoulder surgery. Then showed the angle from 3 weeks
How
ago.
old was Danielle in 98? I think Craig sent this video in.
that's untrue.
None of those girls from Danielle. Anyway, they showed the angle again where Scott Steiner and the NWO beat up Rick and hurt his shoulder. Eddie Guerrero comes out to wrestle.
She was 12, by the way.
Could have been.
Dad of the year.
Just did the math.
Could have been.
I'm bad at math. Unless it's on a tape measure, I don't do it.
Eddie Guerrero comes out to wrestle, but there's Chavo. And after months of being berated and bullied and abused by Eddie, now Chavo's got...
Stockholm
Is
Syndrome?
that what it is?
I guess.
He's believes that Eddie's in fact right about everything, and he deserves all the abuse Eddie gives out.
What I took away from it was he figured out Eddie's game, and now he's turning the game on him. So he doesn't actually believe it. He's just... I don't know why he's doing it.
So there, Chavo's talking about how great Eddie is. He doesn't need to wrestle this match. I'll wrestle it for you. Eddie insists this is my match, and he rears back for a slap. And rather than flinching or getting defensive, Chavo leans into it.
Yeah.
And Eddie is just baffled about what to do. Chavo's leading the crowd in chants of Eddie's name, and Eddie finally just gives up and says, just have the damn match. Chavo Guerrero Jr. versus Ultimo Dragon.
This was a great match.
It was pretty good.
It's all right.
I enjoyed Chavo asking Dragon to wait while he removed and neatly folded the Eddie Guerrero is my favorite wrestler t-shirt. So they're doing this match. Dragon's using all these cool submissions. Eddie's trying to interfere on Dragon's behalf. He's trying to help Dragon win, but it's not enough. Chavo escapes. He screams, Eddie, I'm cheating to win. And he goes on to win clean, in fact, with a tornado DDT. Poor Ultimo Dragon, who gets beat even with Eddie Guerrero trying to help him. So he disappears. And then Mean Gene appears to interview Los Guerreros. Eddie says Chavo needs a shrink. And J.J. Dillon appears, and he announces Chavo versus Eddie for the Great American Bash.
Last thing Chavo needs is to shrink.
Jeez. Chavo was happy, Eddie was pissed. Dean Malenko versus Lenny Lane.
Oh, my God.
Lenny Lane sucks.
Lenny Lane is like trying so hard to be Chris Jericho. Now he's got some...
That's the amazing thing.
He's got some goofy ab gimmick that he's puts
Yeah,
on himself.
ab shine.
Same haircut. I'm
like,
like, man, I tried to be Shawn Michaels, but it was on the indies.
yeah, you weren't on Raw with a broken heart on the ass of your trunks. No, Lenny Lane is on the same show as Chris Jericho, trying to be the same guy. He was the Buddy Landel of Nitro.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, only Buddy Landel was much better. I know a lot of people are going to get angry about that. Buddy Landel did not suck.
No.
He just wasn't Ric Flair. Anyway, Malenko and Lenny here, they tried, but it was the third hour of Nitro. No one cared about Dean Malenko and Lenny Lane.
Dude, normally I would agree with you, but it had nothing to do with the third hour. Because the next match was fucking Goldberg versus Johnny Attitude. And let me tell you something, they cared.
Well, it was also Goldberg.
My point is, it wasn't the third hour.
Dean wins with the Cloverleaf.
Did you catch the joke where Heenan was talking about Lenny Lane's mother, Lois?
I did not catch that. Goldberg wrestled a human being who identified himself, a grown man, went on national TV and said, my name is Johnny Attitude.
You know what was so funny about it?
No ring
This
music?
followed... So, Johnny Attitude was pretending he was Goldberg. Following a Lenny Lane match.
It's true.
He did a much better job of
Oh, yeah,
imitating
he
his
was
guy.
a way better Goldberg than Lenny Lane was Chris Jericho.
Johnny Attitude was at least a big, muscular, scary guy.
This is where Gilbert got his idea.
He was better than Gilbert, too. So, the two things that were referenced in every show in May of 98 were Viagra and Godzilla. Because the TriStar Godzilla movie had just came out, and the announcers on neither show could stop talking about it. So Attitude tried a spear. It failed. And Goldberg pressed him and dropped him and punched him and kneed him and speared him and jackhammered him and pinned him.
It was a delight.
That's number 90.
Adults were jumping up and down at this finish.
I was.
It was
I was
amazing.
jumping up and down watching this match.
Match 1 in the best of 7 series between Booker T and Chris Benoit.
Now, I realize I just shot you down, but this was a good example of it was a third hour, and the people were tired.
Yeah.
Good match, but
It was also a slow starting match. It took a long time for them to get warmed
there
up.
were a lot of chin locks.
Yeah.
Well, you know what it was this show was 3 hours with an overrun. And as always, the main event was just total bullshit, and nothing happened. So these guys had to go out there and just had to stall for time.
Yes.
They said that this was the first match, and match number 2 would be on Thunder, and match number 3 would be on Saturday night.
He
of
can't
all
even say it with a
places.
straight face.
Saturday night was already taped. So this was technically
wow.
the second match.
Perfect. So, yeah. It was okay. They would do better. Benoit won with a crossface. Main event of Giant and Fake Sting versus Lex Luger and Sting.
I got one more thing to say about the Benoit match. It was a little creepy listening to Bobby Heenan talk about Chris Benoit and what he was like now and what he would be like in the future.
Yeah.
But I will say that Bobby Heenan was totally into this match. Bobby Heenan was so into this match. All Bobby Heenan wants is like some good wrestling.
Yeah.
Something that's good as he sits here on this show having to call all this bullshit. Man, he had something to talk about here. He was into it.
He was good at calling good wrestling. And also really good at calling bad wrestling, actually. Last weekend, I was doing some stuff, and I just put some primetime on the network. And I don't think I watched more than 2 minutes of it, but I was baking. I was making pie for Mother's Day. Point is, Bobby Heenan's on commentary, and there's a match between Powers and Roma and The Shadows. And it went like 15 minutes for Christ knows what reason. But
I couldn't find him.
well, that brings me to Mr. Heenan, who at one point when Powers and Roma are running wild and the Shadows bail and they have no idea what's going on, and Heenan says, Powers and Roma have these men totally confused. The Shadows are really in the dark. He was the best. I
We
would
need
rather
more teams like The Shadows.
we do. I would rather talk about that than Giant and Fake Sting versus Lex Luger and Sting. Fake Sting got beat up. Lex and Sting worked totally fine together. They ping-ponged the Giant back and forth for a while. Eventually, Lex got cut off. So, Tony Schiavone outright said, winning and losing is not in the quotation here. I think he meant equation. But the point being, even the announcer said it doesn't matter who wins and loses this match. We just need to find out who is on whose side. So they get the heat on Lex for a minute or two, and Sting tags in, does a Stinger Splash and the reverse DDT and pins Fake Sting. May have taken 12 seconds. So the Wolfpack comes out. Everyone else bails. Lex says hi to his new friends, and they all offer Sting a shirt. Fans are cheering and going nuts. They want Sting to leave WCW so badly. He appeals to the crowd. They all cheer more. And he gets in the ring and he stands there. He still is conflicted. And they throw him the shirt and he catches it and he's looking at it. And that's where the show ends.
You know,
Cliffhanger.
listen, I'm all for cliffhangers and everything like that, but this show opened. The show opened, and it was all about what's Sting going to do? What's Sting's decision going to be? Because they actually teased us when the show went off the air last week. So we tune in as fans this week, and the beginning of the show is all about what decision will Sting make. We sat through 3 hours and 10 minutes of Nitro. They have a fucking overrun, and they take us off the air before we find out whether or not he put the shirt on. I was like, get out of here. This was infuriating. Now, the answer, by the way, everybody, is he put the shirt on. Apparently, he got a monstrous Bafo pop.
I'm sure it did.
But no, we didn't get to see it. We've got to tune into Thunder, where they probably won't even show it. The show's sinking. I predict that by 2001, WCW's out of business.
No, come on.
Wow.
Yeah. I predict that even Ted
Brian,
Turner won't be able to
That's
save
bold.
it. It is bold.
bold.
You're not like the sky has fallen.
I got a song. Are you ready?
Banani.
Yeah.
Tanny.
No, I keep trying to tell you you're wrong.
What do you expect? I'm not a pro.
That was the best song
That was
ever.
the best song we've ever had.
That was better than Ron Nitro right there. All right, everybody, that's it. We'll be back on Thursday with NXT and Vinny doing SmackDown, as well as Granny and I don't even know what else. Oh, Starrcade 85, Part 2.
Yeah. I bet there's more blood.
And Tom will be back tomorrow with Raw and a bunch of other stuff as well. Check it out, everybody. That's it. We'll talk to you again after a while.
Good night.
Adios.